Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of the PTA podcast.
Welcome back, bro.
We're back in this amazing place at Wisecast. How you been, mate?
Good, man. Good. If anyone follows the NRL, it's been a bit juicy over the last week or so. But other than that, I'm good.
Look, this is a podcast about health for our niche.
So Lachlan Galvin.
We're not talking about the footy. I'm a dog supporter. I don't want to talk about it right now. But yeah, look, today's episode is all about getting our clients to understand the importance of nutrition.
Yeah.
The importance of things like macronutrients, micronutrients, calories, looking at things that are all around making sure that we can be able to meal prep well, stay on track with our food, stay as consistent as possible. Now, I have my laptop up and we've got some keynotes that we want to go over just so we don't get lost and start going on silly rants again. But I want to make sure that all of our clients understand how important macronutrients are. So, Alex, I'll let you take the lead on this one. What are macronutrients, my man?
Obviously, macronutrients being your protein, your carbs, and your fats. So for those that don't know, and why are they so important? Well, everyone understands or knows proteins. You know, you get it through your meats. Your fats, people start to automatically think of, dairy products, milk, butter, nuts, avocado, and then carbs, which is, everyone's best friend, as we always like to say. Everyone, knows what carbohydrates is, unfortunately, for the bad stigma that they have, but everyone still understands what carbohydrates is. Now, why are they important? Well, our macronutrients are our three most important nutrients, our three key nutrients that we need to eat on a daily basis. Protein being the number one. Why is it the number one? Well, the body doesn't store protein. So it needs an adequate amount of protein every single day through wholesome foods. Mm-hmm. Mainly, as we like to preach through research, through animal-based foods. And that's because of the complete amino acid profile that you're going to get with the protein that you're getting through those animal-based foods. So your protein is your number one. Now, a lot of people struggle to get protein intake in. And that's, mainly because of the fact that protein as a macronutrient will keep you fuller for longer. And so when people start to prioritize protein, they start to notice that they're fuller. And so their satiety levels increase. And they might sit there going, man, before I increase my protein intake, I felt like I could eat so much more. Now, I'm struggling to finish my meal. Well, that's because you've increased your protein intake. However, it's actually a good thing because that goes to show that you weren't actually eating a lot of protein in general. So we always preach and we always educate our clients on protein being the most important. And then from there, we look at our carbs and our fats. And Ant, I'll let you kind of delve further into, carbohydrates and fats and why they're important, but go for it.
Well, as you alluded to, protein, in terms of where the body can store it, there is nowhere, as you said. It's the opposite with carbs and fats. So it's really important to understand that you need to moderate the carbs and fats that you have. And it's all based around the goal that you have, right?
Exactly.
No macronutrient is better or worse than the other. They all have different roles. As we know, carbohydrates are the body's preferred source of energy. Not the only source, but the preferred source. It's just the way that we're designed. Then it's followed by fats, and then it's followed by protein. So if our body's burnt through whatever carbohydrates it has, it'll go to fats, and then it'll go to protein once the fats are burnt off. We recommend clients getting fats from things like getting carbs from things like vegetables. Obviously, you can have your breads, you can have your pastas, you can have your rices, all those kinds of things. Again, moderation and really sticking to the amount that you need to be having for your body, for your goal, is the key here. And then with fats, we tend to just kind of get fats from a whole bunch of different areas, but a lot of what comes with for example, red meat, there is fats in that. The oil that we cook, there's fats in that.
Fish,
there's salmon, seafood, there's fats in that. So we don't necessarily program nutrition-based plans that have a lot of fats in it. We tend to realize that fats are accounted for in other areas, but to make up the fats that we need to, we'll allocate foods. And I love avocados. I love the seafoods. I love the red meat. I love, good fish, good salmon, that kind of stuff. If we do need to prescribe nuts, if the person's not allergic to them, yes. Although nuts are fairly inflammatory, we don't like people having, them by the kilo, for example. But this whole thing of good fat, bad fat is kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit, because the only thing that contains bad fats is processed foods.
Well, it's almost like carbs. When people say, I shouldn't be having carbs are going to make me fat. It's like, well, no. If you're eating a lot of processed foods that are high in carbohydrates, like fried hot chips, pizza, burgers, that's ultimately all processed, then yeah, it's not the carbohydrate. It's the fact that, it's not the carbohydrate as a macronutrient. It's the fact that you're just eating a lot of calorie-dense processed food.
Yeah, well, they're looking at it from a microscope as opposed to looking at the broader view, right? So when you start to blame a single macronutrient for why you're getting fatter, that's your first problem.
Yeah, badly.
Right? Number one. Number two, you need to not take advice from nutrition from your GP, all right? Number three, you also need to understand the role that these macronutrients play within the body.
Exactly right.
So to eliminate food groups, which is what your GP recommends you 9 times out of 10, this is why I don't recommend listening to people like them, because they don't understand. Their role is illness, not health, right? They specialize in illness. They studied illness, like I said in the last episode. They don't study health, right? And if they had any idea about health, they would never recommend any of their patients to remove whole macronutrients that the body needs. There's a reason why they're called macronutrients. The body needs them in large amounts, right? Now, when we look at the role of protein, I love the fact that you said protein is the most important macronutrient, because it is, right? People mistaken carbohydrates and protein a lot of the time, because in this sense, because they think that because carbohydrates is the body's preferred source of fuel or energy, that it is therefore the most important. It's actually not. Protein is the building block nutrient that we need, and those building block nutrients are found in protein. They're called amino acids, right? Those amino acids play vital roles in literally all of the functioning within the body, all of the growth, the repair within the body. All right, if you're somebody that's training with weights, you need adequate protein. If you're somebody who wants to lose body fat, you need to have your protein. If you're somebody who wants to get stronger, that's a no-brainer. You need to have your protein, because how are you going to grow, drop fat, get stronger, repair the health of your body if you're not having adequate protein from animal-based foods mainly?
Exactly.
Right? It's the healing that is in the amino acids that you can't get from anywhere else.
Exactly.
Right? The role of carbohydrates, as we know, its primary role is for energy. It's really good for people who are active, who burn a lot of calories in their day or energy in their day. So carbohydrates aren't the bad guy, right? They should never be looked at as the bad guy, because it's more about your calorie management than your carbohydrate intake, right? However, there are ifs and buts to that argument, because it's not the same for everybody. And again, if you've been coaching for as long as I have, you understand that. So I'll have 2 different clients with the same goal on 2 different plans for 2 different reasons. Their body can tolerate this at this point, this is their goal. Their body can tolerate this at this point, this is their goal, right? But if someone has got a lot of body fat on them, chances are their body can't metabolize any carbohydrates at that given point in time. And until I get their body fat down and improve what we term as insulin sensitivity, right, then I can introduce more carbohydrates to them, because their body can tolerate it and actually be able to use it for what it's supposed to be for, and not just sit in the bloodstream because they're suffering from what's termed as insulin resistance, which is the step before you start to be pre-diabetic, right? The other thing around fats, we use fats a lot as a tool to be able to get clients to bump up their calories, but not necessarily get it from carbohydrates, right? I'm not a big fan of keto, like we spoke about in the last episode. I'm not a big fan of, really pushing this macronutrient or this style of eating on everybody. But I am a fan of using it for a very short period of time in a very structured manner, with the plan to introduce carbohydrates in the long term for the client, so that the approach is sustainable, right?
Definitely.
Somebody comes to me that's got a lot of body fat on them, I need to understand the role that these macronutrients are playing in their body. And I also need to understand the relationship that their body has with everything they ingest, whether it be food or drink. So when we look at repairing digestion, for example, macronutrients play a role in that.
Definitely does.
Right? When we look at repairing health and well-being, energy levels, recovery, macronutrients play a role in that. And because I've done a lot of the prerequisite studies and courses and mentorships and traveled and learned of some of the best in the world, because I've done all that, this is why I speak so confidently. And because I do it a lot and I showcase the results in our social media pages for everyone to see, that's why I speak so confidently, right? The problem, though, which is a common mistake, and I mentioned it before, is that calling out of carbohydrates for being the bad guy, for you putting on body fat. Carbs aren't the problem. One of two things are, if not both. Your body's ability to use carbs, right, for the right thing that they're supposed to be used for, or you're eating too many calories.
Yep.
Right? Can't get fat off protein. That's a given, because there's nowhere in the body to store protein. But you can get fat off fats. Right? This is my argument with ketogenic diets. You burn fat as energy when you're on a ketogenic diet. You do burn fat, but be specific about what kind of fat you're burning. You're burning digestive fat, which is the fat you're consuming, not adipose tissue, which is otherwise termed as body fat. So they're very smart with the language that they use, because people want quick now, fast, and they get excited about what's in front of them or what's being presented to them. And my argument is, okay, if they did drop body fat on the keto diet, it's fine. It wasn't them having moderate protein, really high fat, and ultra low carbs that got them there. It was a calorie deficit that got them there.
It's just another tool to create a calorie deficit, isn't it?
Right. So when you say you burn fat faster, you actually don't burn fat faster. You just burn the fat you're consuming, because that's what you're giving the body the majority of. Do you get what I mean? So there's a little bit of a debunk for you. The other common thing that I don't like people saying about macronutrients is protein is not good for your kidneys. Right? And the reason why I don't like that,
I've heard that so many times.
it's true though. Protein isn't good for your kidneys. It's true. If you have a kidney problem, right? I know somebody, close friend of ours, who has a kidney disease. She can't have that much protein. That's fine. We just moderate her plan for her, right? The average person who doesn't have a kidney problem can have 3-4 grams of protein per kilo of body weight and be fine, right? So tell me the studies, tell me the literature, tell me anything that has been supported by results or by studies or by something that says that this is true, that states that protein consumption for a healthy kidney, right, causes you to have kidney problems. Show me, because I'll stop prescribing people high protein. I will. There's none out there, right? Same argument goes for the argument of red meat. Red meat has been publicized really badly by a lot of really silly scientists and really silly research papers about being one of the leading causes of cancer. But when you actually do the research like I do, and like a lot of smart people in our industry do, and you read the actual research paper, not the headline that the news gave you.
They're basing these studies off.
No, it's not about what they're basing it off. They're giving the people, there's one of two people that do this test. People that already have pre-existing health conditions, they're giving them a shitload of unprocessed meat on top of that.
That's what I mean. They're basing it off using processed
Right.
meat rather than proper clean sources
It's
of
true,
red meat.
but the problem as well is look at the people that they're using. If somebody has got a pre-existing condition and they're really bad with their health, overfeeding them on red meat in general is not good for them, because you need to you need to understand what you're doing to this person and what their body can handle, right? You know how much I love my steak, but I'm not going to have a 9+ marble steak every single day because I love my red meat. That's not a smart move.
Yeah.
I'd rather have grass-fed, right? And I do have red meat every single day, but I have a good amount that's for my body based on my goals.
Exactly
I
right.
don't have 3 kilos or 4 kilos of red meat a day. Is that bad? Not necessarily, but the right thing for the right person at the right time.
That's what we always preach. It's always about the right thing for the right person at the right time. And a lot of what these research papers that, a lot of them are done, like you said, not properly, pretty much, utilizing people that already have pre-existing health conditions, using, processed red meat, but saying that, it's just red meat in general and not actually specifying what they're using in their experiments or in their studies. ultimately they're not looking at one of the biggest things that will affect any individual. Doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, and it's their lifestyle. And macronutrients, if not utilized properly, will affect someone maybe in a negative way if their lifestyle is not allowing them to be healthy in general.
Yeah.
Right. So if someone's insulin resistant, well, then you got to look at their lifestyle. What have they done to become insulin resistant? You know, are they carrying high amounts of body fat? Are they not? Are they sedentary? Do they live a sedentary lifestyle?
Yeah.
Do they have pre-existing health conditions that, you know, don't allow them to process carbohydrates properly? Right? Like what's going on? It's not the macronutrient that's the problem. It's you're the problem. Right? And you need to fix whatever's going on first before you start blaming what you're eating. Unless you're literally eating processed foods, junk foods, and not doing anything to look after your health in general. And that's what a lot of people in this day and age do.
Yeah, but then if that's the case, they still blame themselves. Food doesn't change what it does. It does what it does.
Well, as we've learned,
you choose what you eat.
The body will break down chocolate the same way it will break down potato. They're both carbohydrates, and they'll both get broken down as glycogen, as glucose and stored as glycogen, but one's healthier than the other, right? So the body's not going to register, oh, this is chocolate, oh, this is potato. No, it's just going to register a carbohydrate. What you do with that carbohydrate, or what carbohydrate you put into your body, though, that's the difference.
The problem with that as well is that, yes, that does make sense because they both necessarily have some kind of carbs in them, but one has a lot of chemicals, for example, the other one doesn't.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean.
The chemicals in that chocolate, although it tastes great, like I love a good thing of chocolate, right? Although it tastes great, the problem with that is that when the body goes, this is, excuse the language, shit, this is not good, what happens? The inflammatory response starts,
exactly right.
Right? When the inflammatory response starts, the body recognizes danger. What does it start doing? Attack, attack, attack. So digestion gets impaired.
And going on inflammation as well, this is where I start to hear a lot of people say, oh, I can't eat too much protein because it makes me bloated. It's not the protein that's making you bloated. There's actually something going on with your digestion then.
Yeah.
There's inflammation within your gut and within your digestion in general that's actually causing you to feel bloated when you have, say, for example, chicken or meat or fish. Well,
there needs to be investigations. The other thing that could get people bloated is the fact that I haven't eaten all day and then I have that heavy meal.
Yeah.
The digestion isn't there.
Exactly right.
I haven't got adequate stomach acid to break down that food and therefore not feel bloated.
And going back to our point, people need to stop blaming the macronutrient and making that the issue and then avoiding that altogether. No, I can't have carbs. It makes me feel bad. The human body isn't designed for carbohydrates to make you feel like shit.
Well, there's a few studies about that. Sorry to cut in there. There's a few studies about that actually that show, and there's a lot of research supports this too, that there's a reason why we feel so good of things like a carnivore diet. Right? We're not made to eat vegetables. They're for animals. They're not for us. Right? We're made to eat meat. Right? Period. Our bodies prefer that carnivore style. Right? Maybe some fruits here and there, but we're actually not made to eat these kinds of things. Where they come from, how they become such a popular thing in our lifestyle is a whole nother episode in itself that needs to be an hour and a half, right? Point is though, and I'm not for each or other because there's a lot of good pre and probiotics that come from some vegetables that we actually can benefit from.
That we need, yeah.
But I'm not a fan of, one way for everyone. I'm not a fan of that.
Exactly.
But going back on what you were saying, the body is designed to work a certain way. All we need to do is support it.
Exactly.
And eliminating a macronutrient and in a hope that that's the answer to your problems, especially around what our niche suffers from, which is fat loss, that's not the answer.
Yeah.
It never will be the answer, so don't try and make it the answer. If you want to eliminate carbohydrates from your eating, that's fine. Your body's not stupid. It will go to the next macronutrient available for energy. But 9 times out of 10, our niche cannot maintain that long term. And what are we here to preach? Sustainable approaches.
Exactly right.
This is why I want to educate, right? The next thing I want to talk about, Al, is micronutrients. Now, in regards to micronutrients, there are examples, magnesium, vitamin D, iron. We love supplementing or getting clients to take supplements. But the thing is, there needs to be a healthy lifestyle implemented first, and then we supplement that with the supplements.
Whatever's missing, so to speak.
Right? So the problem with our nutrition in today's day and age, especially with agriculture, the quality of fruits and veg are not as good as they used to be, say 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Well, let's talk about magnesium for a minute, right? You know, research shows that the average human being is deficient in magnesium in this day and age, and has been for what? The last 20, 30 years, right? Where do we get magnesium from? Our soil, right? Our soil quality, as we know, right, through our own research that we've done and just through reading and learning off people, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible because of the chemicals and everything that it's sprayed on now, right? And so...
Why else, though? Do you know why else?
No, you go why
They turn the
else.
same soil over.
Oh, yeah, the soil turnover,
It's not
yeah.
fresh soil.
Yeah, exactly right. So, yeah, no fresh soil is laid. It's just reused and reused and reused. And so a lot of our vegetables that are supposed to absorb these micronutrients, absorb the magnesium from the soil, aren't because there's no magnesium to begin with, right? So then we're eating these vegetables and we're missing out on a lot of these micronutrients, right? And so our health then is going to suffer. Our immune system, you know, our nervous system, our body in itself is going to suffer. Our health is going to suffer. And so something like I was going back to magnesium, the human body ends up being deficient in magnesium. So we're very big on supplementing with magnesium because of that deficiency, right?
And this is where I want to talk about a little bit about what magnesium does, right? Because people think, oh, magnesium just helps me relax. No, there's so much more.
So much more at a
right?
cellular level.
It does. There's different types of magnesium
Yep.
for different things. There's for energy production. There's mood regulation. There's cognitive function, so brain health. There's recovery, as we know.
Sleep.
There's down regulating your nervous system, so you can get a better quality sleep. They're just a few, right? Now, the thing with supplements, in particular, you know, micronutrients, we can get them from food. So I'll just go in the sun and get vitamin D. Yeah, but it also depends on how dark your skin is. People don't actually understand that. People don't know that. It also depends on how much clothing you have on. How much of your skin is actually hitting the sun?
Another one, it's dependent on how much your skin's actually going to absorb.
That's determined by the color of your skin, right? So if you're somebody who's got olive skin, right, you're not going to absorb as much of the vitamin D from the sun you'll be okay, but as compared to somebody who's lighter skinned than you, compared to somebody who's even darker skinned than an olive skinned person, like Africans, they can be in the sun. They won't burn. They don't not as bad as we do because our skin's lighter. So how do we know vitamin D absorption is sufficient through everybody? Through subtle exposure, we don't, right? And on top of that, the best time of the day to get the sun is just before or just when it's rising.
Yeah, first thing in the morning.
For when it rises. Who's up? Who's going to go for a walk at 7 o'clock in the morning? Everybody's on a train trying to hustle and bustle to go to work at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? What about at night? It's always good to get watch the sun set.
What time does everyone finish work?
Production.
People walk out of the office and it's already pitch black.
Exactly, right? Unless it's,
We're not going to get into the conspiracies of all of that anyway.
No,
but
unless it's, please don't. Unless it's daylight savings and the sun's up to 8 o'clock and you get the chance to, but that's only for like 3 months of the year. Why do you think that people get less sick in summer?
Because of the sun.
Because they're out more, they're outside
Sun
more.
exposure.
They get more sun exposure, their vitamin D levels are up. Vitamin D levels huge for immune health.
Yep.
And bone density.
And nervous system health.
Every single person who's got osteoporosis is vitamin D deficient. Every single person, right? Every single person who's got arthritis, vitamin D deficient, right? Vitamin D is my favorite supplement.
We've been talking about vitamin D. I remember you got me on vitamin D when I was 15.
But people hate me because I talk about supplements all the time. And when I come out being right, they go, fuck, he was right. They go, oh, this guy, he's going to sit there with his cocky smile and go, I told you about this 10 years ago and I chose not to listen to you, but fuck, you were right. My best friend told me the same thing. He goes, bro, you know how many PTs I've gone to, doctors I've gone to? Everything you're saying, I wish I listened to you 10 years ago. He goes, he swore at me. He goes, you were right. And I just smiled at him. It's like, your choice, bro. Like, whatever. I'm not going to force you to look after yourself. It's your choice, right? But, iron as well is huge.
Yeah.
But let's talk about where you can get, for example, just for our listeners, where you can get magnesium from naturally without supplementation. Because people have this thing about taking supplements. Some don't like it, but they'll smoke a dick of cigarettes. Like, make it make sense for me, please. Yeah, but where can they find naturally through food?
Cigarette.
Where can they find magnesium?
Or vegetables, right?
Give us one.
Broccoli.
Yep. And then also
spinach.
Yeah, that's it. Spinach, good. What about vitamin D?
Good question.
Egg.
Yes, eggs. Yes, eggs. The one thing that the world tells you not to eat.
No, it's changed.
Well, they
now.
tell you
It's
to eat it
changed.
now.
They changed their mind
For
now.
the last 100 years, they told you not to eat it because apparently it's going
And
to
the
cause
last
you
one
high
is
cholesterol.
iron. Where is iron?
Oh, red meat.
Yeah.
Red meat.
All right. So imagine those three micronutrients that are so essential for our health, right? And for so many different aspects of our health too. Imagine if agriculture was better.
Now, everyone, I want you to think about something. When you look at the media, what do they tell you not to eat? Eggs and red meat. And they have these micronutrients that are so important for our health. Why do you think they tell you not to eat them? Just think about that for a second. I like people, and this isn't me trying to be whatever tinfoil hat. Or no, it's just logic. If you want to be healthy, just eat the foods that, you know, our ancestors were eating back in the caveman days, man. Like, they've been around since the dawn of time for a reason.
Well, brother, when you're sick, it means you need to depend on people and depend on things, right? If you're healthy, you don't. Healthy people are dangerous people.
Yeah.
Because healthy people make decisions for themselves
100%.
and aren't swayed. People who like to remain sick are reliant, right? So our system is all based on keep them sick, keep them reliant. We'll keep winning. They can keep paying us, right?
And it's a lot
Agree,
cheaper
disagree,
to buy.
I couldn't care.
It's a lot cheaper to buy a steak than it is to go see a doctor.
The next topic we're going to talk about is common mistakes that a lot of adults make around nutrition.
There's a
Number
lot of
one.
mistakes.
We're going to keep it top 3, all right? Because I could go top 50, but let's go top 3. Number 1, eating too little Monday to Friday and then binging on the weekends.
Yeah. So this is something that we speak about with our clients a lot, and we've educated our clients really well on how to manage their weeks when it comes to eating. And obviously this is where we get them to understand calorie intake, right? So, you know, how much they need to eat on a daily basis, and if they do have events on the weekend, how to manage their calories on that weekend so they can eat and enjoy themselves. But ultimately, when a client initially does come to us, it's always the same case. Oh, how much, okay, what do you eat? Give me a bit of a breakdown as to what you eat in a day. And so they give us that breakdown. And it's always the exact same thing. Monday to Friday, because of work and looking after kids and whatnot, barely getting 2, maximum 3 meals in a day, and they're just very small, quick and easy meals, right? But then it comes to the weekend, and because they're out and about, cafes, restaurants, dinners, pastas, pizzas, this and that, and they've eaten 2 days worth of calories in the one day, right? So it's the same thing that we get, but we put it down to time management. We put it down to them trying to find a convenient option, right? So I feel like a problem for adults that they face is time management, and so they end up starving themselves all day because they're not managing their time properly. Whether it's sleeping in that extra hour or 2 because they've gone to bed late and then rushing out of the door and not having breakfast, or just not pre-planning and prepping their food the day or the night before, you know.
Good points. I like those. The other thing I want to talk about as well is it's all well and good if you know you have an event like around Christmas, New Year's time. I'm always talking about, you know, banking calories, saving calories for that event that you have, whether it's your Christmas party or Christmas Day or New Year's Eve, whatever it might be. So, you know, if we look at a Monday to Sunday week and you know you have, for example, 2,000 calories a day over 7 days, right? 2,000 by 7?
14,000.
14,000. So
Right,
if
come on,
you
that's
on
right.
average, have 14,000 calories in a week that you have to play with, and you know you've got a big event where you're going to be drinking, eating high calorie foods like pizzas, pastas, you know, it's always a better approach to have a bit of structure around what you do, so you can pre-plan for lack of a better term, for that event, right? So you don't overspill, put yourself in a surplus, and feel like you're always starting again every Monday. That's what we recommend, and we give our clients structure around that. You know, a very simple thing is if you have 5 meals a day over 7 days, that's 35 meals in a week. Knock off a meal each between Monday to Friday. So I only have 4 meals on Monday, 4 meals on Tuesday.
You've saved 5 meals.
4 meals on Wednesday, 4 meals on Thursday, 4 meals on Friday. You haven't just saved 5 meals. You've banked up the calories that are for those 5
Or
meals.
of those 5 meals, yeah.
That's a day's worth of eating.
Yeah.
You add it on to your Saturday.
And then you can go into that event and not be so guilty or stress out about, you know, am I going to go on my calories? Fuck, I just stuffed up. That's my whole week out the window.
There's that. And the reason why they binge on the weekend is purely because of the fact that they've done one of two things. They've left their body in this state where it's really hungry, like really hungry, because they've only had 1 or 2 meals throughout the days previously, or they eat food that has what we term as a very low level of satiety. So they're left wanting more. A good example of that is things like a packet of chips. If I have a packet of chips, I'm instantly craving something straight after it. And then after that, which is generally going to be something sweet,
you're craving something again.
Craving something else again. So you end up eating and eating and eating and eating. You're like, what the hell is wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Look at what you're having. Yeah. It's got these things in it that send signals to your brain that you want more. It's a normal response to what you're doing.
Definitely.
Right? Flip side though, you have a good platinum meal, for example. You have some good protein.
Platinum meals, sponsored.
You have some good protein, right? On a Saturday when I'm at home after work, there's 1,000 options going through my mind, and McDonald's is definitely one of them, right? But when I eat something at home that's either home cooked, where it's got a lot of protein in it, or I just grab a meal out of the fridge and I have that craving goes. And I'm full for another couple of hours.
Well, then going back to eating protein, right?
Protein is king.
That's why protein keeps you fuller for longer.
It does. Naturally, it does, because it just takes longer to digest.
That's why you should have protein in every meal.
We know this, yeah. So going back to that, though, if you look at it that way, you won't binge on the weekend. You won't feel like you're starting again on Monday and feel like you're really going backwards with the goals that you want to achieve. Yep. The other mistake is not planning meals. Now, Alex mentioned this before, where it was like planning ahead, meal prep. We're going to give some tips on meal prep in a second. But I truly believe that either you need to prep ahead of time or invest in a meal prep company.
Yeah,
which is another way of prepping ahead of time. Because if you don't, and you let ego make the decision for you, you're going to get caught out every single time. No, I can do it. No, I can do it. No, I can do it. You know how many times I hear that a week? No, I got it. I can do it. Why the fuck aren't you doing it then?
Going back to our first episode, the whole reason why we started our meal prep company, Platinum Meals, in-house with our clients was because our clients' main issue was time management, right? And the last thing after a massive stressful day that they wanted to think of was having to cook for themselves or think about what to eat the next day. And so we took that stress off their off their heads and off their hands, and we cooked the food for them. Right, and that's where, going to what Anthony said, if you don't want to, some people don't like cooking. I, for one, without being a gronk, I don't like cooking. That's why my wife cooks for me. I just don't enjoy it. I can't bother for it, right? So I either invest in our own meal prep company, right, by utilizing our meals, or even before our meal prep company, we're utilizing other meal prep companies, right? Or obviously my wife will cook my meals for me and get that set for me because I don't have the time, but two, I don't like doing it. And it's okay if you don't like to cook. It's fine. Just invest in a meal prep company so then you're not sitting there scratching your brain as to why you're not hitting your goals.
Well, I love cooking. So, I love a good barbecue, right? I love doing a barbecue.
I don't count barbecue as cooking. It's just a barbecue.
Okay, you're cooking food, though.
Yeah, but it's a barbecue.
I just don't clean up after, that's all. I don't mind doing my breakfast either, right? It kind of gets me away from the gym. I go up to the commercial kitchen that we have, and no one's bugging me, so I just cook my eggs. My bacon, I put my wrap
but
on
mom's
there.
in the kitchen. What are you doing?
No,
don't do it like that. Do it like this.
They're all right. Don't come near me. But I do that, and then I just sit for, it's my time. So half an hour, eat, sit, recharge, bang, go back into it.
Yeah.
So for me, my lunches and my snacks are the biggest biggest hurdles for me. So I plan ahead. That's it. I have my shakes there. Everything's ready for me. I have my lunch prep for me. I use a meal prep company. Even though it's my own, I still use it, right? Imagine being a meal prep company owner but using other meal prep companies for your food. We love our meal prep company. Shout out Mum, Bernadette, Andrew, Mark, thank you.
I've got to be honest, man. I did something last week. No, I'm joking. I did.
Don't say it. But yeah, planning ahead of time is super important. I actually believe.
Definitely.
Because you plan every other aspect of your life. Plan your food.
Yeah.
So you can be better for those other things because of the way it's going to look after your health.
Yeah, definitely.
Right? The last mistake is believing that believing that being healthy means being restrictive.
Right? I love this one.
Me too, because when I thought about it and I wrote it down, this is a conversation I have with a lot of people. Yeah, but I'm not supposed to be eating that.
You put a post up about it this morning.
Myth busting on a Wednesday. Yeah. And the reason why I don't like that is because the solution.
I watch your stuff.
Thanks. The solution is always going to be sustainability.
Always.
Not rigidity.
Yeah.
Right? When you're rigid with your food, you're not going to last. Gone are the days, and I think about this when I was in my early 20s and I was boxing, even, 18, 19. Yeah. Even when I started at 15, right? when I was doing that and I was in the zone of boxing and I was fighting, I was very restrictive with my food, right? To the point where, you know, I'd have one meal that might be off during the week and I felt like crap after it, right? But generally speaking, I was very restricted with my food. Very low carb, moderate fat, very high protein. That's how I like to eat. It worked for me. I performed well. And when I stopped fighting, because I was so rigid for so long, you know what happened?
Just
I
went
went the other
ham
way.
with everything
I went
else.
the other way, right? And I always blame my wife for this. I lost my abs when I met her. But yeah, I went the other way after I stopped boxing and I stopped being a competitive boxer. It's only now that I've realized, especially over the last 5-6 years, that like I need to be okay with having sustainability, right? And playing it smart and, you know, using the skills that I teach my clients because it actually works, right? There's a time and place for me to be rigid, and I will when I go into my comp prep.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's 90% compliance. I have anywhere between 3 to 4 meals in a week that are off. The rest of the time is good, and I focus on the big rocks: sleep, stress management, supplements, and my overall nutrition, and then my training. Right? So for me, it works for me. It works for our clients. It's the answer. Like, being healthy does not mean you need to be restrictive. It doesn't mean you can't have a drink. It means you can't binge drink, yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you can't have nargile for those that like it, or the shisha as other people term it. It just means you shouldn't be doing it every night.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It doesn't mean that you can't go and have, you know, a fast food meal every now and then. It doesn't mean that, right? But this whole, are you having that? And I used to cop that in that dramatic as well. I'm like, yeah, why?
I still cop it.
And they'd say, yeah, isn't that bad? I'm like, can you just go and talk to somebody else? Because right now I'm not entertaining this conversation, right? And the reason why I get like that is because this mindset on you're a bad person if you're eating bad food and you're a good person if you're having a chicken and broccoli. What the fuck happened to society? Seriously. They'll sit there and they'll spend time and energy gossiping
Stigma. Stigma.
about this guy did the wrong thing. Why? Because he had a burger when he's not supposed to. Who gives a fuck? Let him have the burger. Let him enjoy it too.
Stigma around good food, bad food. I just
People
look at
still
it as
can't get
food.
to their mind that you can have pizza once a week, twice a week, even 3 times a week and still get leaner.
Yeah. I'm Exhibit A.
Bro.
I'll be straight up honest. I had my favorite cheat meal, a large pepperoni pizza from Domino's, thin and crispy, right? I pumped it with a whole garlic bread. We're talking like that's 2,200 calories right there in one meal, right? But I woke up the next day, my 6-pack was still there. I got my blood test coming up in 2 weeks' time, so we'll see what that is.
As our good friend Johnny Farrell would say from St. Louis and Co., Kol khara. But going on that, people would sit there and say, oh, Alex, you just have good genetics. You're young. Let me tell you something about genetics.
I'm 30, I'm not young anymore.
Yeah, it's all downhill, bro. I told you, watch. Next year, you're screwed. Genetics loads the gun. Your lifestyle pulls the trigger. We're not going to go down this road because we've got other topics to talk about. But just on that, genetics loads the gun. Your lifestyle pulls the trigger. You can have the best genetics in the world, be lazy, you'll still be unhealthy.
Yep, definitely.
You can have the worst genetics in the world, work hard, and you can still be successful.
Yep.
I have the worst genetics in the world.
Yep.
Right? But if you see the way I move weight, for the size that I am, people go, oh, he's actually kind of strong. Or if you see how he used to box, right? He was pretty powerful. He was pretty quick, right? I don't have the genetics that other guys had, but I had better work ethic and I worked harder. That's why I was able to be at their level and stay there, right?
Genetics, huh?
Go away, bro. But Alex, on the other hand, he'll have a pizza, right? He trains harder than me. He'll have a pizza and the garlic bread. Wake up feeling all right. I'll have it. I'll wake up looking like I'm 3 months pregnant, right? Genetics loads the gun. Your lifestyle pulls the trigger,
definitely.
right?
Don't get me wrong, I don't have that stuff all the time, but I like to enjoy my food on the weekend as well.
You're 90%, if not 95% compliant.
Yeah.
And not just with your food, with everything, your steps, your training, your sleep, your supplements, everything. You're on point with it all. Right?
And that's where the flexibility comes in. It's managed. So I've worked hard at building the discipline to be flexible within means where, like Anthony said, 90 to 95% of my week is on point. And then I do like to enjoy myself because I'm a human being at the end of the day as well.
We look forward to our weekends where we're like, I want to go out to dinner with my family. We went out last week for your wife's birthday, right? Everything that was there was not necessarily on my plan, but I enjoyed it because I made sure my whole week was good leading up to it and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? Now, the last thing I want to talk about is just some meal prep help or guidance for our clients, right? Now, we're going to look at, obviously, the fact that people are poor with their time management. Let's look at some time-saving tips for when it comes to prep.
Platinum meals.
That's one.
Nah,
But if
honestly.
you really want to prep your meals and you want to cook your own meals, things like batch cooking proteins,
Yeah.
like I always tell people, don't just cook don't cook like one meal at a time the night before. What a waste of
I'll
time.
give you a mad example. So one of the clients I just started working with, I've got him on his meal plan. He actually enjoys eating mincemeat, right? So I've got him having 150 grams of mincemeat twice a day he has 2 lunches. So he was like, all right, sweet. How am I going to span this out? So we literally just wrote it down and I said, all right, what do you buy? Do you buy the 500 gram packets or the kilo packets? He says, usually the kilo packets. I said, sweet. I said, cook half of that, right? That will cover you for almost 2 days. I said, if you want to be even more time efficient, just cook the whole kilo. Put it in a big container and then just pull out what you need. Cooking's done. That's 3 to 4 days that you've just saved time on cooking, and then all you're doing is just spooning at whatever amount you need into a container, and off you go to work. So like you just said, yeah, batch cooking.
Well, I batch cook my stuff, right? When I used to meal prep, now I don't anymore. I pay somebody else to do it. But when I was prepping ahead of time myself, I'd batch cook everything. I'm talking everything, even my eggs.
I remember
never cared.
when you went to the fruit and veg market and you got that massive ass box of sweet potato.
You know why I got that? we don't eat that much sweet potato, but I got it because it was this big box for $7.
It was huge.
I just got it because
Wasn't it like 20 kilos?
Yeah, it lasts us 4.5 months.
It was ages.
But I got it because I'm like, I'll be stupid to not get this. Even if I barely use it, it's $7.
Yeah.
And the sweet potatoes are that big each. So I just put sweet potato on my meal plan and Mum just followed it for us, right?
Yeah.
But when I was cooking myself, I do all my proteins in one for the week. So I spend Sunday, do all the proteins, I do all the carb, and then the night before I'd pull it out and I just measure it up into my container and I leave it in the fridge,
Yeah.
take it the next morning. And I did that because it saved me time, right? The other thing is there's also, so I can't see from here. There's also tools that you can invest in to kind of spice up how you like to have your food. Some people get bored of the same way of eating, where it's like they just pan fried their mince or they just oven bake their veggies. Air fry, slow cook, add sauces, herb spices, marinades.
I always said
Spice
people
it
make
up.
a stir fry.
Yeah,
Make a stir
that's the
fry.
best. I love stir fries because
Like, what's the difference between having on your plate, say you got your plate and you got, hypothetically speaking, chicken here,
Yeah.
a broccoli here, and rice here, right? You put that in the stir fry pan and you make a stir fry, it's the exact same ingredients. And it's going to taste a lot better as
makes
well.
a huge difference and it's nice.
And it becomes enjoyable.
It's that variety though, right? And the last one I want to talk about is prepping just kind of without the overwhelm, right? You don't have to prep 21 meals or 30 meals in the week. Just do the batch cooking, and then the night before, just organize your lunch.
Organize, yeah.
Man, I organize my clothes the night before work. The night before
Same
I go to
concept.
bed. So I just put my stuff out. I do that with my food. I do it with my subs. I don't do the week's worth of supplements. I just do the night before.
Yeah.
And
We
I'm
usually
ready.
just cook the night before for the next
And I'm
day.
ready. I don't like cooking the night before for the next day because it wastes time, right? We cook dinner, we have dinner, we have downtime. See my son, we hang out,
Yeah.
right? But I do make sure that we batch cook, or when I was doing it, we were batch cooking, right? Even the kitchen, right? When they organize themselves for all the meals that come through, they have to batch cook.
Yeah.
So what's wrong with batch cooking? It's a time efficient thing.
You know, another
Right.
thing as well, and again, talking to our clients who are, adults with families and whatnot, one thing that a lot of people don't actually think about is when you're making dinner, just make a little bit more to take to work the next day.
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
You've just saved on
works.
you've saved on so much time.
Well, this is the great thing about tracking your food, right? If you're not following a specific, strict plan, if you're just tracking your food and you know what to do with your food, you know what your calories are at, you know your protein targets at, you can have whatever you like and just track it and go from there. So you can save time the next morning by cooking a bit extra of that same food that you had at dinner.
That's what I mean.
And putting it away in a container in the fridge.
That's your lunch
straight away,
sorted.
And that's your lunch sorted for the next day. Exactly.
That's it. No, you don't have to think about it.
And the last one is invest in snacks or include your snacks.
Yeah, definitely.
Right,
include
high
snacks.
protein yogurt. You can even have eggs as a snack, protein shakes, protein balls. Shout out to Sisterly Bites. You can have fruit, nuts, whatever.
Yeah.
But include the snacks because they'll
100%.
keep things sustainable for you throughout the day. Around
Definitely.
hunger and calorie management and blood sugar management as well. But also, you've prepped ahead of time and there's no worries about it. And they're easy. You grab a container, put yogurt in, or grab the small one, buy the small ones from the supermarket.
Or you buy platinum protein and make a protein shake.
Whatever it might be.
You know what I mean? In-house marketing, brother. Come on.
Yeah, of course. You got me there. I was like, oh, that's a good point. So, in closing, what's your number one takeaway and thing that you want to give to our listeners for this episode?
If you're not prioritizing protein within your daily or within your nutrition in general, please prioritize protein. If you are someone that may feel bloated or feel like you can't digest, eating protein properly, reach out, hit us up, let us help you, because there's obviously an underlying issue going on because of the fact that protein is the most important macronutrient and you do need it.
Cool. Thank you, Al. That's a good one. My takeaway and my tip for everybody is around meal prep, and just make sure that you actually practice time-saving meal prep, right? Batch cook your food, right? For your veggies, your rice, your proteins, batch cook your food. Cook for 4 days in advance, and it'll save you money, time, headache, overwhelm, and keep you on track.
100%, man.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate
people.
you. Thank you.